this first round to kick off our playoffs, the tracks that we're going to go to, I think you can't really line up three better tracks to kick off the 2023 playoffs. I think all of them, they're totally different from one another, and they all provide really interesting, great racing. Kansas, over the past couple years, has been incredible, especially with this next gen car that has elevated that intermediate style racing. And then Darlington. I think what we've seen at Darlington the past couple years has been really good. And just being able to survive that race and to be able to win it is enough in itself to be a big standing point. And for a driver looking for a playoff win, if they can go out there and win that race, that'd be really impressive, and it would advance them in the next round. And then the Bristol night race to kind of close it all out for the first round. That race can be very chaotic. A lot of wrecks could happen. It can go on for super long runs like we saw last year. So for this first round of the playoffs, I'm really excited for it. But Darlington's going to be a really cool race to kick off this playoff 2023 playoffs.
I agree, and for me, I'm looking at really three different drivers. Like I said earlier, I think Ross Chastain is going to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trackhouse needs a shot in the arm. Denny Hamlin has like a 2.1 average finish in the Xfinity series here.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's really good at Darlington.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at him. And then someone else who has won at this track and won here last year for this exact same race, Eric Jones. He is a driver's driver, and drivers win at Darlington. And I think those three guys are probably the cream of the crop that I'm going to watch. Also think Logano probably be pretty good. William Byron will be pretty good. But if those other two or three guys are on their game, they're going to be really tough to beat. And I think that Chastain will probably bring a pretty good race car to the track this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Ross Chastain will be really solid. Denny Hamlin's always been good here. William Byron won the race earlier this year. He's going to be pretty good here. But a lot of the guys who are up and kind of have a secured spot in this playoffs, I think they could safely get out of Darlington with a top 10 and kind of move their way on. It's the guys who are in the red right now who I look at kind of what do they got to do for this race? Because Kevin Harvick, out of all of them, has the most experience. I'd expect him to be the best here, but Bubba Wallace, Stenhouse, and Michael McDowell, they aren't really good at Darlington. And for them to kick off the playoffs, they need to get some good finishes. Those are the guys I'm looking at because I think everyone from 1 to 12 in the playoffs is going to have a solid time at Darlington. They're all going to be pretty good. It all fits their style. They all have good cars. They've shown speed all year. But it's those four that are in the red as of right now who I don't really know what their race is going to look like.
To me, it's going to be stay out of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get a black stripe on the right side of your car.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you're going to have to run close to the wall. That's just how it is at Darlington. But from 7th down to 16th, they're all separated by, 16 points or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like one of them has a huge lead. I mean, really the only two people that have a big lead are Byron and Truex, and they're plus 29 or they're sitting at 2,036 points. So for me, when I look at these guys, I think if you're from Christopher Bell all the way down to Bubba Wallace, there's a chance that after Darlington, you could be in the bottom four easily. And so that's why I think that if you're Bubba Wallace, McDowell, and Harvick, you just got to keep yourself clean, make sure you finish on the lead lap, and don't get caught up in something absolutely crazy. Now, if you're Chastain or Brad Keselowski or Tyler Reddick, I almost think that you want to try to win the race. I mean, you need to get something to go ahead and secure yourself before you get to these next two races because the Toyotas are going to be really good in Kansas. And then Chris Buescher won at Bristol last year. Him and Brad Keselowski were just so good last year at Bristol. And if Ford continues on this trend, I think it's going to be very tough to beat those two cars at the night race in a couple weeks. So I think this is a big opportunity for a couple of different drivers. And so I think, Hamlin, like I said, Hamlin's usually pretty good here. Byron's really good here, but they've got a pretty comfortable lead. So Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, Keselowski, I think they've got to try to do everything they can to try to at least finish in the top 10, top 5.
Yeah. And I think for them, it's possible to finish in the top 10. They could sneak one out. But the guys who they're battling against and who they can reach on points-wise, like Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, they're all going to be really good here.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski, out of all of them, probably doesn't have the best shot, but he's still been really consistent all year round. But Ross Chastain and Tyler Reddick, if you want to put them at a track that's going to fit their style,
It's this one.
It's Darlington.
Yeah.
It's running close to the wall, being able to control a car on a really slick track. That's why I think this first round for these 4 that are already in the red, even though it's really close points-wise, they can leapfrog them pretty easily. These tracks, at least Darlington to start it off, could set them back really quickly.
All right, so who are you going to pick?
I like your pick with Ross Chastain. I think that's a really good pick. I think he'll be a really good driver here. But Kyle Larson, I think he's been super solid all year round. Just hasn't been able to get to victory lane at the end of the races. I think this track...
Well, Denny's wrecked him like twice.
Yeah, that doesn't help. But yeah, this track for Kyle Larson, he's been really good at. Fits his driving style completely. A dirt track style driver, being able to kind of get close to the wall and control the car on a super slick track. That's what Kyle Larson can do. And I think if he could kick off the playoffs with the win, kind of clear his thoughts for the next 2 races, and think about Talladega, the Roval in Texas, I think that's all he needs to do. And this is a really good chance for him. So I'm going with Kyle Larson.
I like it. I think it's a solid pick. I'm going to double down. I'm going to pick Ross. I said it earlier. I think he's going to win. So I think he really needs this.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
does.
only setting +4 to the good right now. They need something big to happen and in a big way. So winner at Darlington, the number 1 car, track house, Ross Chastain. He's going to go on to the round of 12, and then I may end up changing my final 4 at some point because, if he goes off on a hot streak, he could very well rattle off like 4 or 5 wins. I mean, the playoffs stack up really well for him. He's really good at all these tracks.
And who knows who's going to go off on a hot streak and when they will.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of great content we post weekly from our Fast Talk, O'Reilly Auto Parts Pit Reporters, or JC's Garage programs.